I believe we should be live. I will double check. All right, yep, there it is. We are live. So, welcome back to the Vol Talk podcast. I'm Austin, and I'm joined by myself today. Going to be trying to run a solo show. So, excuse any technical difficulties and things of that nature. And so it does look like the stream's going. It looks solid. I'll try to pull it up here in a minute, but we got kind of a jam-packed show today. We've been out for I think 2 weeks now. Little 2 week hiatus. Unfortunately, Blake is not available at the moment to do the show with me, so it is going to be solo for the foreseeable future. But hopefully, some good news on that is Blake should be back here soon. But yeah, we got some updates. So, basketball, baseball season's going on currently. Baseball just started SEC play this weekend, so we'll kind of get into that series against Georgia and how that went and how that's going. There's actually a rubber match here in about 30 minutes, so hoping to lead y'all into that. But we'll start the show with some football talk. So some win totals were released from FanDuel. I'll be going over those. They set the line for us in the upcoming season to 6.5. So I'll be discussing that. And then I'll also be discussing what that means for Heupel, because 6.5 is pretty low. Now I'll get into what I think about that, but kind of interesting. I'm gonna see if what y'all think about that, and I think Heupel might be feeling the pressure a little bit, so we'll get into that as well. And then some basketball talk to end the show. Unfortunately, the SEC tournament did not go the way we wanted it to, but I'll try to preview the big dance and whatnot before we get into that. But before we do so, if you all could please like the video, like the show if you enjoy Vol Talk, and subscribe to the channel. Again, sorry for the hiatus. We're gonna be back to consistent shows whether it's me doing solo, whether it's me with Blake, or whether it's me with Dakota. Dakota still plans on doing some draft shows with us, so we'll have that in the upcoming weeks. But yeah, liking the video just helps the channel out. And of course, subscribing and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when we go live. And then shout out Spotify people. We got Spotify as well. If you all want to go follow us on there, it should be in the channel description below. And yeah, so check that out as well. But without further ado, we'll just hop right into the show here. So yeah, FanDuel released some win totals. And it was kind of rough. It looked rough. I was a little surprised. 6.5 is where they had Tennessee. They released it for all of the SEC, and I'll go through some kind of notable ones here. So just at the top, Georgia and Texas are at 9.5 each. Then you have LSU, A&M, and Alabama at 8.5. And then you have us with some teams I don't really want to be in the conversation with. Auburn is at 6.5. Notably, they just hired Alex Golesh as their head coach. Year one of Alex Golesh, and FanDuel expects them to have as good of a year as Tennessee. They also have Vanderbilt at 6.5, which I also find pretty notable because if you have been following Vanderbilt, they will no longer have Diego Pavia next year. However, they did sign a really highly touted true freshman quarterback. I believe his name's Jared Curtis, to come assumingly start next year, frankly. But the fact that they are also at 6.5, along with Missouri, the only teams FanDuel thinks that will be better than next year are Kentucky, South Carolina, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. So not really company that we really want to be seen with, to be completely honest with you. So yeah, kind of unfortunate from that standpoint. I'm going to try to get the stream up here. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate to see us so low. Cause if you all remember last year, we were at what I think our opening line was 9.5, before Nico left. And then once Nico left, they brought us down to 8.5. So year 6 of Josh Heupel, and they expect us to win 6 games, which is barely bowl eligible. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I know the 9-game SEC schedule will really it kind of made all the win totals go down. So because it's just so much harder of a schedule, but to be just bowl eligible in year 6 of Heupel, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what that would mean for the program, and I'll kind of get into that here in a bit. Overall, though, I will say I do not agree with the win totals overall. I just don't really agree with them. I think 6.5 is harsh. It's harsh. I don't think we're going to be that bad. I mean, maybe I'm being optimistic and unrealistic, but I would not have said it as 6.5. And again, we'll get into the implications as to what that would mean for Heupel if we're actually a 6 or 7 win football team. But to me, looking at the roster, I mean, where did we get like notably worse? I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I'm not really sure where it's just straight up worse on this Tennessee roster compared to last year. Like, yes, quarterback. Listen, that's an unknown, and I think that's what's driving this. I think the quarterback question is driving this, which is fair. We don't know what George McIntyre is. We don't know what Faison Brandon's going to be. All we know is what they are as prospects. As of now, they have zero starting experience. So I get being wary of that. But if you look at the roster as a whole, it's like we didn't lose all that much talent. Like our best player that we quote unquote lost didn't even play last year, and Jermod McCoy. So that's not even really a loss compared to last year's team. And listen, I've said all offseason with Blake on here and Dakota on here that, man, I think the defense is going to be better. I mean, we got a whole new defensive coaching staff, and a ton of new players. I use Our Lads for a projection of our depth chart. And if you look at our projected depth chart, it is essentially all new starters. Like returning starters include Arion Carter, Ty Redmond, Davian Hobbs, and I don't even know if Tyree Weathersby will be our second edge. They predict that at the moment. But listen, I mean, do you want to return a bunch of starters from a defense that was terrible? I mean, I'm actually fine with not returning the starters. I mean, they weren't even that good. So from that perspective, it's fine. I get we are losing talent. You have a couple guys that will hear their names pretty high in the NFL draft, and Colton Hood and Joshua Josephs. But I think overall, the changes on defense, the changes in the secondary, particularly at safety, the changes in coaching staff, which is the biggest thing, I think it's harsh. I think the defense will be at least average next year, or at the very least, not like bottom feeder in the SEC. And from the offensive perspective, again, it's really just the quarterback. Like, yes, you lose Chris Brazzell, but I've said, hey, you're bringing in a lot of talent in Tristan Keys and Tyreek King as true freshmen. You have true sophomores in Radarius Jackson and Travis Smith that could take a step forward. And then, as I've also said all offseason, the offensive line, to me, is going to be one of the best in the Heupel era, in my opinion. I mean, that's just where I'm seeing it. You have year 2 of David Sanders. You have year 2, technically year 3, but year 2 as a starter in Jesse Perry. And to me, David Sanders and Jesse Perry at tackles, like that's going to be better than Lance Hurd. That's just my opinion. Now, do they move David Sanders to the left side? That could impact things because he played right tackle last year, although he probably played left tackle in high school and most of his life. And for some reason, college coaches still value left tackle over right tackle. I've discussed how that's not really a huge difference in left tackle and right tackle as far as the value that they bring to the table. But overall, I still really believe in this line. A guy I was trying to remember this guy's name the other day, Donovan Haslam. This is the guy that we brought in from, I believe, West Virginia as a transfer. He'll plug into one of the guard spots. So point being is that this offense is, I mean, dude, outside of the quarterback question, it's loaded. It's a loaded offense in my opinion, dude. It really is. I think it's the best weapons and offensive line that Heupel's had in his time being here. I really feel that way. Of course, you can argue 2022. There's a really good argument for that. Um, but I think the ceiling of this offense is probably higher, which I know is kind of crazy to say, but that's how I feel about it. I mean, and tight end, I think tight end is the only like a question mark. Like Ethan Davis, if he takes a step forward, I think he will be better. He looked better at the end of last year when they started phasing Kitzelman out of the offense because he was, let's be honest, Kitzelman was not good last year. He was not good. So I think tight end could even be an upgrade, to be honest with you. So yeah, I don't know, man. I think 6.5 is extremely harsh, just because the quarterback question. Like if the quarterback's average, I think it's going to be a good, better than a 6-win football team for sure, and even better than a 7-win football team. I'm going to catch up on chat here as y'all are flowing in here. Appreciate y'all watching again. Blake's out. He will be back. He's not off the show forever. He will be back. It's just temporarily he can't make it. But we got Daniel joining the chat. Yeah, 6.5 is brutal. I mean, that's what I felt, man. I was like 6.5. I mean, 6.5. Oh man, if we win 6 or 7 games, I know Vol Talk and the chat is not going to be happy. I'm not going to be happy either. And then of course, the Spaniard Blake's in the chat here, keeping chat alive. And Bender Strings is also joining. The win count is all predicted on the quarterback, exactly, and our schedule. I am still shocked though. I kind of get why people are shocked. I agree with the reasons. Your reasons are 100% correct. The win total is based on the quarterback and the schedule. But Bender, I have to ask you, like, if we win 6 or 7 games, like, I don't think you're going to be happy. I'm not going to be happy about it, especially when you look at the fact that George McIntyre has already been here for a season. So, and we've kind of, Dakota and I discussed this on the last show where, listen, I mean, Heupel has had some question marks as far as QB development, like guys that he hand selected in recruiting turning out to be good. Like I would expect year 2 of McIntyre to take a jump. And we all know the talent phase on Brandon has. I mean, listen, I think, they look at that too. I mean, he's a 5-star, like, and I mean, do you really, I don't know, man. Like, do they really think that's that much of a downgrade to Joey Aguilar from last year? Joey was great, but I even look at it from the perspective of look at the win total last year prior to Nico leaving. It was at 9.5. Do we really think, like, after seeing Nico play, that it's 3 wins worse? I don't know. I mean, even an unknown at quarterback, I mean, even an unknown, I would take them over Nico. So yeah, I don't know, man. It seems a little harsh to me. Now the schedule is something that I think is going under the radar. That was your second point. The schedule is something that people aren't realizing. I think like 9 SEC games is going to be absolutely brutal. And the crazy thing is, me and my buddies were just looking at this the other day. I think the schedule this upcoming season in 2026 is actually probably the most favorable compared to years after. So, man, this is kind of a critical year, in my opinion. Continue to catch up on chat. Lynn, is it kickoff time yet? Yeah, I hear you, Lynn. I'm ready for football too, especially since some of our other sports here have been a little disappointing, especially basketball. We'll get into that later in the show. I think I'm still fine with baseball, by the way. Baseball is going fine. And Bender says he's not really worried about GMAC between the years. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the discussion around GMAC, right? He says he is concerned with the neck down. Yes, it's the physical development. Now, I will say, I don't think I've been on here since I saw this on Twitter. But some of our new nutritionists that were hired literally this year, right? We got a new strength and conditioning coach from Indiana. Some of the nutritionists were posting like videos of like some of the food that they're feeding the football team in the cafeteria. It was ridiculous. I mean, I'm telling y'all, it was a random Tuesday or Wednesday. And these dudes were getting served New York strip steak, lobster tail, lamb chops, and jerk chicken. I'm like, what? It's Tuesday. But then I thought about it, I was like, well, shoot, that sounds like a great diet. It sounds like overall, from what I've heard, it seems like the diet in the football team and in sports in general have just been better since firing the strength and conditioning coach. I'm finally realizing why so many people wanted the old strength and conditioning staff gone. Apparently, I heard somebody say on Twitter that they had like before the new team came in, they had like chocolate fountains in the cafeteria, like the Golden Corral style, like chocolate fountains where you can put like a strawberry in there or a marshmallow. And it's like, what? I don't want the football team having a chocolate fountain, man. I would much rather them be eating steaks and lobster. And even though, dude, if you fed me steak and lobster at 18 years old every day, it's no way I'm staying humble, dude. There's no way I'm staying humble. Continuing in the chat, looks like Richard Patton predicted 9 wins. Honestly, I think with our schedule, that's tough, but I think that's a more fair prediction than 6 wins, to be completely honest with you. That's just how I feel about it. I think the win total was pretty harsh. Yeah, and then Bender says, I'm still carrying bitterness how we closed the season. Totally agree. I think that's a good transition here because we went over some of the win totals, which were definitely interesting. I think now we need to discuss what this means for Heupel, because kind of a theme of the offseason, right? I've been saying, listen, if you just looked at our chat, like literally our chat, Vol Talk chat after the Vanderbilt game, everything that everyone was complaining about, Heupel basically went out and took care of it during the offseason. You want the DC fired? Done. You want the strength and conditioning coach fired? Done. You want the cornerback coach, Willie Martinez, fired? Done. All out. And Heupel hired, I thought, some pretty good replacements, even though another thing that we haven't covered on the show yet is that our cornerback coach that we hired to replace Willie Martinez ended up taking another job, unfortunately, and so we had to hire a replacement. But point being is that Heupel clearly felt some pressure because there was more changes this past offseason than ever before, in my opinion. And this is coming off the heels of the 2025 season where I felt like he made more adjustments to his scheme more than ever. Like in the 2025 season, offensively, our scheme was more different than all the other past years of Heupel. So, yeah, I think Heupel's feeling it, man. I think Heupel's feeling it. And last year overall was a disappointment, right? Like there's no reason we should have got pushed around like we did against Vanderbilt. And that's where part of me is optimistic about the upcoming season because it really feels like I think his name's Derek Owings, from Indiana. I really feel like that could change things. Like I really feel like that could be the hire in this offseason that's like, well, that's where maybe Heupel turned it around. Not that Heupel has been awful. Like we kind of talked about that. Like we're not at fire Heupel yet. However, the second part of my overlay here, what if FanDuel was right? What if we do win 6 or 7 games? Then I'm going to be out on Heupel. I'll just be completely honest with you guys. If we win 6 games in year 6 of Heupel, despite the quarterback changes and despite the schedule, the 9-game SEC schedule, I would want to fire Heupel. I'll be completely honest, because to me, last year was his rebuild. Like if you want to be one of the people that gives him an excuse for his quarterback leaving during the spring, to me, the team got better after that. But if you want to be one of those people, then fine. Let's just call it a mulligan year, right? It's a rebuild year. Heupel changed the defensive staff. His quarterback left during the spring. Like, okay, let's just throw 2025 out. Well, what if it gets worse? Because that's what 6 or 7 wins would represent. It would represent it getting worse compared to last season. And from that perspective, I'm like, well, hold up. No, I'm not in for 2 rebuilding seasons. Like, okay, you give you 1, but like 2 seasons to rebuild, especially when, kind of like I was saying before, everything around the quarterback has gotten better. has gotten better. I think it's actually one of the best rosters around the quarterback position that we've had. And so, like, at some point, like Heupel, you handpicked George McIntyre and you handpicked Faison Brandon. Now, I don't expect a true freshman to come in and just light the world on fire. That's pretty rare. It happens, but it's pretty rare at the quarterback position where a true freshman comes in and just absolutely kills it. It's possible, but George McIntyre is not a true freshman. Now, I get like people are concerned about the size and whatever, but he's not. At the end of the day, he's not a true freshman anymore. And he's had a year of development in the system, so I would expect more out of McIntyre. I just would. I would expect more out of McIntyre and Josh Heupel in year 6. Again, that's in spite of the 9-game schedule. Because like, I mean, boy, six or seven went. Like, by the way, Heupel hasn't won 7 games since 2021. Like his first year here. That's going into Butch Jones, like Jeremy Pruitt territory. It just is. And I've always said, I already said that I think the line was harsh, and I wouldn't put it at 6.5. I would probably place the line at 8.5, to be honest with you. Like, I think 8.5 means we're about an 8-win football team. I think that's where I would place it. So that's 2 wins over, which is a significant difference, by the way. But I've always tried to like tell fans and whatever that Vegas, which is FanDuel. I mean, that's Vegas, FanDuel, whatever. It's interchangeable. Vegas is the most objective like source when it comes to these things. Like, they don't have a bias. They're trying to set a line at the appropriate place where they'll get money from both sides. And so that's what they feel about They feel Tennessee is a 6 or 7 win football team. So it's kind of discouraging. That's kind of discouraging, to be honest with you. Doesn't mean that's going to happen, by the way. It doesn't mean they're always right with the line that they set. The only point being is this isn't like an Alabama fan doing this. And I saw something funny online where some like podcaster, SEC Mike, if you've ever watched SEC Mike, posted these win totals, and people were in his comments like, "Really, Mike? Like, really? This is what you predicted my team?" It's like, dude, I didn't predict it. It's FanDuel. FanDuel predicted this. So we'll see. But listen, I think I don't know where y'all feel. Y'all have to tell me in the chat. But how are y'all going to feel about Heupel if we win 6 or 7 games? And let's just look at Heupel's perspective, because this is another thing. We were out while this interview came out, but Chris Lowe interviewed Heupel. Chris Lowe has some really good insight into Tennessee football. He's an alum. He's not a local guy. He actually is a national. He's a national guy. He does work for ESPN, but he has really good insight into Josh Heupel and the Tennessee Vols. He had a sit down with Heupel. That wasn't recorded, by the way, but they wrote about it. And Heupel was essentially asked about expectations, and Chris Lowe basically pushed him on this and was like, "Listen, like, the fans expect more. They do. They expected more out of 2025 despite the circumstances." And I've always said, like, throw the record out. If we throw the record out for a second and we just look at, okay, what happened in the individual games in 25? Like, what happened in the Georgia game? What happened in the Vanderbilt game? What happened in the Oklahoma game? 3 games at home, by the way. Did we have the talent to win those games? I think it was clearly yes. I think the answer to that question was clearly yes last year. I think it was frankly some coaching failures that led to those losses, amongst other things, but it was some coaching failures that led to those losses. So it was a disappointment. It was an overall disappointment, despite it being 8 wins. Like, okay, sure, like, that's right where FanDuel had the total last year. They set it at 8. We hit 8, but that doesn't matter. Like, we could have won 10 games last year at the very least. So yeah, fans weren't happy at the end of last year. There's no doubt about it. And that's why Chris Lowe pushed Heupel on this. And Heupel said, listen, he made it clear. He said, this is a direct quote, "My goal is to go win the championship too." The championship. Like, He's talking about national championship here, people. And last year we didn't even sniff the playoffs. So, and he continues and he says, that's why I want to be here. I know you can do it here, which is something so important, right? Blake and I talk about this all the time. The media, the national college football media, for some reason, wants to put a cap on what Tennessee can be. Like there's some guys that don't do it. Josh Pate doesn't do that, but there are definitely some people that do. Like Herb Streak famously last year. We had a famous clip from last year that not a famous clip, but famous to Blake and I last year talking about Herb Streak essentially saying that Tennessee should be happy with 8 wins. Sign up for 8 wins for 100+ years. Our own head football coach, straight out of Josh Heupel's mouth. Like, this is Heupel speaking. By the way, when Heupel said he has no incentive to put more pressure on himself. This does nothing but put pressure on Heupel. This does nothing but put pressure on Heupel. Our own coach says that we can do it here. And when he says that, like you could say, well, he doesn't want to just say, oh, well, we have no shot. Well, sure. But he's also saying, hey, he's telling the fans, like, hey, if I don't get it done, then I'm the problem because it can be done here. And listen, people, we had a top 5 recruiting class last year. Like, okay, top 5 in recruiting. The fan base is as passionate as anyone. The atmosphere, by the way, there's a lot of discussion on Neyland in the offseason, which I love. It's something we'll be talking about more, I'm sure, just because, at some point we'll have nothing to talk about. A lot of people feel like Neyland is the number 1 atmosphere in college football. I would agree with those people. Now, I only have Neyland compared to what I hear on TV of some of these places, except for, I've been to some places, but like the Shoe, for example, like Ohio State. Well, there's 40% Tennessee fans in that game, even though we got annihilated. Point being is that we clearly have the fan base. We clearly have the recruiting. I mean, top 5, like what else can you ask for, right? Top 5 in recruiting. We're in the SEC. There's 12-team playoff now, by the way, people. 12. Like, we're not asking you to be in the top 4 every year. It's top 12. Like, it's 12 teams get in. And funny enough, during this interview, Heupel apparently is one of the people that support the 24-team playoff. So I don't support that, by the way. I heavily don't support that. But point being is, there's a lot of teams with opportunities right now, so it shouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that Tennessee is in playoff contention every single year. And it doesn't mean you're going to make it every year, but when you're winning 6 or 7 games, like FanDuel saying, you have no chance. You wouldn't make a 50-team playoff with 6 or 7 wins. So that would be unacceptable. That would be unacceptable, I think, to the fan base. And apparently it'd be unacceptable to Heupel. So for the people like that feel the need to defend Heupel, which I don't know why you would, because no one's even saying fire him at the moment. I'm saying in a hypothetical scenario, if you win 6 or 7 games, then he should be fired. But so there's really no need to defend him at the moment. However, even the people that defend him, it's like he wouldn't even defend himself. He says he can win championships here. So I think that should matter. That should come into play. I'm going to catch up on chat here. Bender Streams and Blake are keeping the chat alive, so appreciate y'all. So Bender Streams brings up an interesting discussion, which a lot of people have come in the chat discussing this here recently. I still think he needs to turn play calling over, which I'm assuming he's talking about Heupel here, to the offensive coordinator so he can better manage the in-game situations. This is something I could not agree with more. I think Heupel, it caught up to Heupel last year. It caught up to him. There are more, how am I going to put this? There's more pressure on coaches than ever. There's more things to do than ever. You have to not only recruit year-round, by the way, you also have to recruit your players on your roster year-round, which used to not be the case, by the way. That used to not actually be a thing. But with NIL and the transfer portal, that is now a thing. Not to mention, Heupel clearly feels pressure. I've said that. I've given a lot of examples why he thinks they should be competing for championships. There's a ton of pressure in that. Plus, our fan base, as everyone knows, because we're part of this fan base, we this fan base puts more pressure on the coach than any other in the country. Okay, any other than the country. Sometimes to a fault, but that's the case. You have all of that plus you're coaching in front of 100,000 people. You have to read the situation, get the play call in, and to Bender Shrink's point, you have to manage the game as well. It's too much. It's too much, man. And it really showed itself last year because there were so many in-game situations, clock management situations, game management, simple game management situations that Heupel failed at last year. Clearly Heupel doesn't want to give it up. There's been no talk of that from Heupel, and I think some play callers, they take a lot of pride in it, man. Like, I think Stark for Texas, he refuses to give up play calling. There's a lot of guys that refuse to give it up. We'll see how it impacts Heupel this year. It definitely impacted last year. I'm of the mind that we win the Georgia game last year if Heupel manages that game better and doesn't run the ball 3 times in a row after we get the strip sack fumble to put ourselves in a position to be up by 2 possessions. If we get up by 2 possessions at that point in the ball game, we beat Georgia. We snap that streak. And your boy here has a better time because I was in Neyland, and that would have been nice. I'm going to continue to catch up on chat here a little bit. Ben Sherman joining in. Appreciate you joining, Ben. He says UT will be 8-4, and 27 will be 9. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. 27 will be 9. Not sure what that's in reference to. I'm going solo here, so I'm having to juggle a lot of things at once, so forgive me. Rhonda is also joining. Appreciate you joining, Rhonda. Hello, everyone outside media will always find a way to make us the team that can't do anything. That is so true. Oh my gosh, that's so true. It is ridiculous, but I've gotten thicker skin with it. True. I've gotten used to it as well. And again, not everyone does it. Like, shout out to Josh Pate. We've disagreed with some of the things he said, but specifically on last year's team. But overall, he knows that Tennessee can be as successful. Like, there's no cap on Tennessee. By the way, I think the whole blue blood discussion in college football, this is a whole nother tangent, but Rhonda's got me off on a tangent. The whole blue blood conversation in college football kind of just needs to die. Like, shouldn't that have died with Indiana last year? Shouldn't that just be dead? Like, clearly last year's Indiana team showed us that it really doesn't matter the perception of the school. It really doesn't even matter, apparently, according to Indiana, with a 72 talent composite. It doesn't even matter that you have a top 10 roster, which to me, that's not something to expect. Like, that's clearly an outlier, right? But it just shows that coaching matters, man. Coaching really matters. And Kurt Signetti is an elite head coach. And, maybe two hosts of a podcast were trying to tell people that in the middle of last season. And maybe some people didn't listen. But that's fine. That's beside the point. But it is true. Elite coaching matters. And of course, elite quarterback play also matters. Like, Fernando Mendoza was a huge part of that team's success. So yeah, but I mean, the whole conversation of should Tennessee be capped? Like, should we just be happy with 8 wins? You should not just be happy with 8 wins just because that's all Butch Jones could do. By the way, like, how many other SEC coaches would hire Butch Jones? Like, zero. So don't cap our university because we were with the one dumb school and dumb administration that hired Butch Jones. That's ridiculous. I've made this point to Blake so many times. Like, okay, Jeremy Pruitt was awful. Jeremy Pruitt would have been awful anywhere. It had nothing to do with Tennessee. It had, like, now we hired him. Now, God bless Philip Former. We'll forget that part of Philip Former's resume was hiring Jeremy Pruitt. But at the end of the day, those years shouldn't cap what we do now because those coaches would have been awful anywhere. And Kurt Signetti showed that coaching really matters. It doesn't matter what program you take over. You can take a team like Indiana that went from nothing to something very quickly. But anyway, I'm going off on tangents here. overall, my conclusion on this topic, I'm going a little bit over on this topic, to be honest with y'all. I wanted to get y'all out here by the baseball game, but going solo, things take a little bit longer. But anyway, my conclusion is for one, I don't think we're a 6 or 7 win team. I think the expectation should be higher than that. From an objective standpoint, even taking my orange hat off, I think the team and the talent on the team is simply better than 6 or 7 wins. That's how I feel about it. But I also think if it is a 6 or 7 win football team, Heupel is officially on the hot seat, if not straight up fired. I would probably be honest with you, I would probably fire him if he won 6 games, to be completely honest with you. But that's just where I'm at with it. I'm going to catch up on chat once again. I appreciate y'all joining the solo show. I know it's the off season and people just want football again and game reviews. And also, it's kind of weird watching a solo podcast, but I still appreciate y'all being here. So Bender's joining in here. He says, I still think LSU at night is unbeatable, but we're right behind that in my opinion. See, the one thing I will say, I agree with you. Death Valley at night is scary. When I first started growing up watching college football, my dad told me the scariest place to play in college football is Death Valley. It's been like that for a long time. However, the caveat that it has to be at night is something that bothers me, because we all know what we did in 2022. And it wasn't just the fact that we had a better team, because obviously we did. The crowd was nothing. They were a complete non-factor. And people were like, well, the game was at noon. Well, Neyland's, it don't matter if it's at noon or if it's at 3:30. Like, we're showing up every Saturday, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what the time is. So I think that part of Death Valley is the reason I would put it at number 2 more than likely. I do agree with you, though. Death Valley at night is pretty electric. Rhonda is in the chat as well. If this season goes badly, I totally see that Heupel may be told to give the play calling up, or let me say someone should. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, I agree. Listen, it depends on how bad it gets, Rhonda. Like, I don't want to fire him either. I think, overall, firing your coach isn't the best thing. It means things aren't going well when you fire a coach. I don't want to fire a coach. I think Heupel's done great things here. But I'm not going to be loyal to Heupel just because of what he has done, especially since what he has done is like, at some point you can't keep riding the coattails of 2022 Alabama at some point. And so, yeah, but I do agree. I think giving up play calling could happen in the middle of the year if things continue to go badly. But again, people, that's not my prediction. I actually don't know what my prediction is yet. So early. I have to see how this QB competition really plays out. But we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Can't have any dead air time because I don't have someone else to talk for me. So I have to just take you drinks in the middle of the show. But anyway, let's move on here. I'm going to go ahead and move on to baseball since they're playing right now. And I'll be honest with y'all, I want to go watch. So we'll go ahead and move on here to baseball talk. So baseball team started SEC play on Friday against Georgia at Georgia. Georgia's the 8th ranked team in the country. We are down to 19 from where I think we started 14, and then we went to 13, and then we were down to 19. Anyway, top 20 matchup down in Athens this weekend. It's been a really good series. Been a really, really good series so far. Game 1 we took 7-4. That was really electric. We hit 3 solo home runs in a row to take the lead and then to get some cushion at the end. Really electric game from a few players. And then yesterday we ended up losing 2-4. That was another super gritty game. Unfortunately, we just could not get any offense going. I think we left 2 runners at second and third in the 8th inning, which was pretty disappointing. I know at some point we left 2 runners on. But overall, what I'm seeing from the baseball team, listen, it's not right now, and it's not an elite baseball team. It's not elite. Now, if we get this series win against Georgia, who knows? I mean, we could move up close to the top 10. So, but I will say they're getting better. That's one thing I've noticed. They are getting better. It was a little disappointing because last weekend we had the series against Wright State, and then we ended up losing on Sunday. We won the series, but we lost on Sunday 0-6. It really spoke to how our offense is just not what it has been in years past. Like this, they still hit bombs. They're still exciting to watch, but the depth in the hitting lineup isn't as good. I will say it's gotten better with some guys coming back into the lineup. Guys like Blake Grimmer, who is hurt, Garrett Wright, who has been a massive addition, by the way. He's hitting first in the lineup right now because that dude just gets on base. It's incredible. It's insane the numbers that he has in terms of getting hit by pitches. He's got to be number one in the country, dude. This dude gets nailed. He's literally gotten hit by a pitch every single game this season, maybe outside of yesterday, but it's absolutely ridiculous. Dude just finds a way to get on base. Henry Ford has really come along. He's easily the best hitter in the lineup for average. Power, I think he's also leading the team in home runs. So he's been really, really good. He was a big reason we won on Friday night against Georgia. He had a solo shot that gave us some insurance. And then another electric player that I've talked about a little bit on the show, but not much because we haven't had too many baseball sections yet this season. Blaine Brown. Blaine Brown is electric, two-way player. He pitches and is a DH. He doesn't have like a phenomenal average at the moment, but he's got a ton of power and a ton of potential. And I think he'll continue to get better. He's been really good. So yeah, overall, I think the team is getting better. One unfortunate performance so far in the season has been Levi Clark. They've had to sit Levi Clark down. If y'all remember, he started off really, really good as a true freshman, like really good. He started off so hot last year, and then he tapered off at the end of last year, which was disappointing. But this year he has been abysmal. He's been abysmal. They had to sit him down. He was averaging like 135 average or something like that on the season. It was really, really bad. And keep in mind, this is prior to SEC play. So I kind of understood why they just had to sit him. At some point, you have to make that tough call. So I'm starting to believe more in the batting lineup. I'm starting to believe more in it. Got some inconsistent guys, but I think it'll get better and better throughout the year. And again, I don't know how the game's going. Y'all have to keep me updated. If y'all are double screening it right now with the baseball team and Vol Talk, first of all, I appreciate that. Second of all, keep your boy updated to see how the game's going. Like I said, today's a huge matchup. But as far as pitching is concerned, I'm really excited about the pitching. We don't have a Liam Doyle type, like a straight up elite pitcher, like an elite prospect or a Chase Burns type, if you will. Like we don't have that guy who's going to be a top 10 draft pick on the team this year. However, I think the pitching depth and the three starters are as good as really any year in the Vitello / Elander era. So the three starters, of course, Tegan Coons, Landon Mack, and Evan Blanco. Blanco will be pitching today. Hopefully has a good outing in him. Mack has been really good. I think Mack's been the best. Blanco's close as well, I would say, as being the best. Tegan Coons, he can be hit and miss. When his command's on, he's really good. He has good stuff. It's just sometimes like he's a little Nate Snead-esque, not as bad as Nate Snead, but sometimes those wild pitches are wild. So, but he's been solid on Fridays. It's just a really solid pitching lineup, especially the starters. I will say the bullpen's also pretty exciting. Like Cam Appenzeller has been electric. Like he kept us in yesterday's game, 100%. We needed to stop giving up runs, and that's exactly what he did for 2 innings. So he's been really good. And then Arvinson actually was hurt, and he's come back, but he's been really good since he's come back. So it's, listen, I think the baseball team, listen, people, you got people out there, you got some nega Vols out there, people, as y'all know. So a lot of nega Vols. So far, I've been encouraged by Elander. Has it been perfect? No, it's not been perfect, and it's not as good and as hot as a start as we had last year. But listen, people, baseball is an up and down game. Like there's going to be some months where you're better than other months. And I would rather the team play better towards the end of the year, obviously, than right now. So, and it's not like they're playing terribly right now. Like it hasn't been a full on collapse. And today's going to be huge. So we'll see how that goes. Going to catch up on the chat real quick. So let's see here. Blake's in the chat, keeping it alive. Appreciate you, brother. And then Rhonda saying, let's see. I think y'all are having some internal conversation, so which is totally cool. So Bender Strange, going back to some of the football talk, was saying there's no after what Indiana did last year. There are no ceilings anywhere in Major College Football. Totally agree with that. And you could really, I think you can maybe extend that to all sports in college at this moment. Maybe basketball is a little bit more heavy on the blue bloods. But I mean, Tony kind of showed it in baseball. Like we weren't a historical blue blood in college baseball. But what happened when we got a generational coach? We won a national championship. Like it turns out coaching matters. Like those things matter a ton. And now what do you see? You see Lindsey Nelson completely renovated, the house that Tony built, if you will. And I think Elander's doing a good job so far. Yeah, Rhonda says baseball is fickle. It has been a bit fickle this year. Like I said, it's, they've been up and down. They've definitely been up and down. We lost that series to Kent State, I believe. I believe it was Kent State. But anyway, so yeah, it's not been fantastic. I will say, listen, midweek games that we've seen in the past aren't always guaranteed wins. And to be honest with y'all, I thought the offense was going to explode after that midweek game against Tennessee Tech because, dude, they looked electric in that game. 20-2 was the final. But they were kind of a miss yesterday. So, but that's just how baseball is. It depends on the opposing pitcher and whatnot. But yeah, that's the baseball update. I'll keep y'all updated on that. At some point, Blake and I have talked about, and y'all have to let us know if you're interested in this and doing a little watch alongs with the baseball games. I think that'd be kind of fun. And be nice because it'll give me an excuse to watch the baseball game while I'm doing Vol Talk. So, but yeah, let's move on now to basketball. Vols basketball highs and lows. Really, it's been a kind of a lot of lows recently. I'll be completely honest with y'all. Nate Ament went absolutely bonkers in our first tournament game against Auburn, our SEC tournament game against Auburn. But was really bad yesterday. Was really, really bad yesterday. Vanderbilt beat us once again. They beat us twice in like 2 weeks or a week, which isn't great because I'm kind of tired of Vanderbilt, to be honest with y'all. Their fans are very, very yappy. So yesterday's game, let's see, against Vanderbilt. Sorry, I lost my train of thought here, y'all. Sorry. Was rough. Nate Ament, again, I think he went like 0 for 11 from the field. It was not good. And this is after Nate Ament absolutely bullied Auburn. He was incredible in that game. Absolutely incredible. The team showed so much grit in the Auburn game. We were down and came back. We actually had a good second half and a good end of the game, which is the first time that feels like we've had all year long. So it was really encouraging, like super, super encouraging. I was like, dang, maybe this is the turning point. Nate Ament looks unstoppable on the offensive side of the basketball court. And, and the defense, is always going to play hard, whatever. But then we go and do what we did against Vanderbilt, which was not great. It was not great. So I don't know what to think about this team heading into tournament time. I'll be honest with y'all. I'm very disappointed because I was hoping. I think we've all been hoping for that magical year where we get to the Final Four. And at the beginning of this year, it was like, oh, well, Nate Amit's a complete bust. But then towards the end of the year, it's like, well, dang, he's actually playing a ton better. So maybe we have a shot. But it's looking like this is frankly just a good team. It's not a great team. It's still incredible. The coaching job that Rick Barnes has done. It's incredible. This dude, there was essentially zero continuity on this team. A few of our bigs have played together before, but that was about it. Like Okpara, Phillips, they've all played together before, but everyone else really hadn't. So it's really incredible the coaching job that he did. And he's also done a great job with Amit's development. He's been like, I think in the beginning of the year, maybe it was a bit of a confidence issue, and also just, getting used to the physicality at the next level. There's always a learning curve with that. And Rick Barnes has been steadfast in believing in Nate Ament. He's been very steadfast in that, which, probably helped with the kid's confidence. Now, unfortunately, he's not as consistent as we'd want him to be. But because he went from 27 points to 0 field goals in a 2-game span. But you never know in the tournament. It's March Madness. It would be great if we could be the Cinderella team for once in our lives. I think we'll end up probably having a 5 seed is from when I'm getting a read on it. It seems like it's a 5 seed upcoming. So see what we can do with that. I don't have a ton of confidence, but with Rick Barnes, you never know. It's crazy. I knew this, but at the same time, I kind of didn't realize that we made 2 Elite Eights in a row. And of course, we got robbed out of our Final Four against Purdue. Absolutely robbed. That should have been the year with Dalton Connect. But unfortunately, we had to play Foul Ming. So that led to us getting bounced. But anyway, I don't think that this year is the year, if I'm being honest with y'all. I just don't think it's the year. However, I would love to be wrong. I would absolutely love that. Moving on now to the Lady Vols. Lady Vol update. Yeah, so Blake in the chat. Perfect timing on this chat, brother. Absolutely perfect timing. Kim Caldwell also starting to have a rough time. Yeah, tough conversation needs to be had about that. I will start with the good news, though. However, the good news is our softball team got off to the best start that they've ever had. 26-0. They finally dropped the game yesterday to Mississippi State 1-0. Pitching duel in that game. But and by the way, Mississippi State, for those who were wondering, is a really good softball team, so that's not even like a bad loss. Our softball team is electric. I don't think I've ever said that about a softball team, but they kind of are, to be honest with you. And so they have a chance, I think, to win a championship. So that would be awesome. However, the Lady Vols basketball team ain't great. They had a rough go of it, including the SEC tournament where it was one and done, and the end of the year it was a big losing streak. Really bad. And keep in mind, I think one of my buddies helped me realize this the other day. It's actually a conversation with Dakota. If y'all have seen him on the podcast before, we were talking, and I realized like Lady Vols hoops consistently, despite going through coaching changes, we were still getting to like Sweet 16, every year. I mean, it's not been like we didn't need a coach to get us to the tournament. We didn't need a coach to get us to the Sweet 16. We needed a coach to get us back to what the Lady Vols once were under Pat Summit. That's what we were looking for. We were looking to reach the ceiling of our program, which is the best program in women's basketball. That's what we were looking for with Kim Caldwell. And it's gone the other way. It has went off the rails. And man, I'm to be honest with y'all, I'm already starting to lose my voice a little bit from the show. Got some crap in my throat or something. I don't know. However, I might get off on a tangent here because this Kim Caldwell discussion kind of leads into Danny White. And this is something I've been talking about with some buddies off air, but to me, what we saw with Kim Caldwell, and it hasn't just been losing, by the way, like the losing is rough, but it's been the culture of the locker room. The locker room's culture has clearly shown itself to be poor, to put it nicely, to be honest. We had that player literally step down in the middle of the season, step down to stop playing here anymore. Like in the middle of the season, like we haven't even finished tournament play, and we have players literally leaving the program. By choice, by the way. It was by choice. They chose to leave the program. Not to mention, you parlay that in with the fact that Kim Caldwell refused to shake the Ole Miss's hand after the game. Has generally just the whole attitude of, oh man, we're we coach hard here. Like we don't accept losing. Like, we don't accept, not being great and stuff. That's all great when you're winning, but when you're losing, it makes you look like a fool. It makes you look terrible. And to me, Kim Caldwell has shown some really bad people skills. Really, really bad people skills. And listen, Ronna's talking about it in the chat. Danny White hired Kim Caldwell. And what has been the biggest criticism of Danny White outside of the entertainment district and outside of ticket prices going up? What has been the biggest criticism? It has truly been that he's not a personable guy. He does a poor job at cultivating and keeping relationships with his coaches. That was the whole drama around Tony Vitello. I think it was less so NIL driven and funding driven and more so based around relationships, because Tony's a big relationship guy. Now, all that being said, I also think Tony ultimately left because he wanted to go coach in the MLB, by the way. I'm not one of those people that don't think that. I think that was the ultimate deciding factor. However, it's reported by Tony himself, like two other people, but anyway, by Tony himself, he didn't love that Danny White was so hands off. He didn't love that he didn't have a great relationship with Danny White. So with all that being said, it appears as though the impersonable, poor people skills athletic director has hired a Lady Vols basketball coach who shares similar traits. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I do not think that's a coincidence that the athletic director that has a poor time cultivating relationships hired someone who has a poor time cultivating relationships with her own players. So that's just something to kind of keep a pulse on. Listen, I think stability in our athletic department is critical. I really think that's a critical part of it. However, I don't know if Danny's the guy. I don't know if Danny White. Listen, I'm not saying we need to put Danny White's head on a stake or something, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying any of that. However, you lost Tony Vitello, whether it was Tony's decision to go chase his dream or whatever. and then you hired Kim Caldwell, who, by all accounts, right now has been an utter failure. From whatever we thought she could be to how she ended the season, which, by the way, it's only her second year. But listen, Lady Vols hoops don't look like we've looked. Like, no matter who the coach is, it's not been good. It's not been good. And then we've had the Heupel question as well with Danny, and he also hired Heupel. So who knows? This upcoming season, this next cycle of football, next year's basketball, which is a whiles away, it's all pretty critical for the athletic department. It's all pretty critical for the athletic department. And keep in mind, everyone, keep in mind, Danny White did not hire our current softball coach, and he did not hire Tony Vitello. And I don't even give him credit for the Josh Elander hire because it was so utterly obvious. So, yeah, use that information how you will with Danny White. I'm going to do a quick catch up on the chat as we discuss this. Appreciate Rhonda and Blake keeping the chat alive at this point. And I appreciate y'all still watching despite the solo show, despite it being the football off season and everything. So Rhonda seems like she's agreeing with me. Yeah, and of course, yeah, and I'm not saying Pat Summitt can be replaced. However, there's no reason that Lady Vols hoops shouldn't be able to compete on the highest levels of women's basketball. But of course, no one's going to be Pat Summitt. Yeah, and I agree. I think Danny, and this is actually a really important point that Rhonda made. She said Danny won't admit the mistakes she's made. I think that could be his downfall. We kind of saw it on Twitter, which again, Twitter, I always say this. I'm preaching to myself when I say this. I need to spend less time on Twitter. It's not actual reality. However, our athletic director's on there and he tweets and he seems extremely defensive on Twitter, especially when it comes to the entertainment district. So yeah, that's, I think he probably is the kind of guy that can't really admit mistakes or when he's wrong. So that's quite unfortunate. And then, yeah, Rhonda continues. She says losing Vitello changed a lot of people's feelings towards Danny White. There's no question about that. And yeah. And then Blake's agreeing with that. And I think everyone's salty over losing Vitello. So yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, Rhonda. I'm still salty about that as well, even though I think that was inevitable with the offer on the table for Tony. So I don't put 100% of that blame on Danny White in all fairness. However, I don't think it helped. I don't think it helped at all. The fact that he didn't have a great relationship with Tony, and it's not like it was a bad relationship. From what I understood, the reports I've understood, it was no relationship, which is as bad, if not worse, than a bad relationship. So, yeah. It is what it is. We'll keep a post on everything or a pulse, on everything as we always do. Continue to cover football off season and whatnot. And then of course, all our other sports as well. As I try to produce the show and provide the content as well here. But with that being said, y'all, if y'all could please like the video. Again, I'm going to ask for a like one more time on the video and subscribe. Subscribing always helps. And again, we really appreciate the support during the off season and kind of a transition for our show, right? Blake is unavailable, unfortunately, as he serves our country. Once again, thank you for Blake for that. Always. And yeah, so we're kind of in a weird period right now. It's going to be me solo. It's going to be with Blake, sometimes when he, can do it again. It's, with Dakota here occasionally. We definitely have some fun shows coming up with Dakota. We'll want to cover the draft. We love the draft. We'll cover our Tennessee Volunteers in the upcoming draft at some point, as well in the upcoming shows. But yeah, appreciate all the very loyal and support from people like Rhonda, Bender of Streams, Daniel, Rachel in the chat as well. Appreciate you, Rachel. Everyone that showed up. Ben Sherman. Now I feel like I have to name everyone. So if I left your name out, I apologize. Thank you as well for joining the show. So yes, once again, subscribing helps, liking helps. We will be live on Sundays. No matter what, I will be live next Sunday, whether it's by myself or with someone. It'll be a surprise. I'll come in every stream and just be surprised. Oh, this person showed up today. And then we'll continue to try to put out clips as well. If you don't like watching the full live shows, or if you just like the football content, we try to put out clips, not as many as we want to. At some point, we're going to really churn those things out. We're going to churn out short form content and things like that. But we're busy people. We're busy people. This is not our full time gig. In fact, we get paid $0 for this. However, thanks to y'all, we are now eligible for monetization on YouTube because of 1,000 subscribers. So I really appreciate that. But anyways, y'all, that's pretty much it for the show. We will catch y'all in the next episode. Please go check out Spotify as well. This will be coming out on Spotify here later today or on Monday morning. So appreciate the Spotify people as well, and appreciate y'all watching. And we will catch y'all next time. GBO.